All right, y'all. So this is a little impromptu because I'm sitting here eating a little bit, and see, I had crumbs on my chest, and watching my gameplay from Overwatch. Well, watching the team, I'm trying to figure out how to get better. But I'm thinking about basketball, and so a thought came to me because KD and Brooklyn lost last night, which puts me at 9 of 11. Um, I've got none of the series right, and I've got two of them wrong. So out of the 11, I got none of them right. Hopefully, I'll be 10 or 12 and not 9 or 12 last after today. But anywho, um, I was thinking about the teams that are losing or that have lost. Not Brooklyn necessarily because Brooklyn just they're injured. That's all that is. You know, health. It happens. Suck it up. Oh well, so be it. You know what I'm saying? Or you could argue luck a little bit because of where KD's foot was on that shot. Which, by the way, that shot was incredible. That's what you expect of KD. And for people who want to, talk about KD, like, oh, he airballed a shot. Dude played all fucking 53 minutes. And he had no legs, right? If he could have just got any kind of break, because if he could have got any kind of help, he would have been just fine. He would have killed him. And we'd be talking about Brooklyn as still the favorite. Um, but this is good. I think KD needs to break anyway. He needs to. He don't need to be in the postseason all the way to the finals after coming off of Achilles. I want him to get that rest, recoup, and then next year, he's more comfortable. He'll be back and he'll be even more dominant, along with the Nets with a better roster and all of that. But the point is, I was sitting here thinking about, like, for instance, the Jazz that lost, and there's two things that their squad really is missing. They're missing another elite 3 and D like playmaker wing, and another like ball handler slash scorer. Now, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I would trade off. Not saying this is a trade I would do, but I would drop Mike Conley and Royce O'Neal for Brandon Ingram, and the Jazz are instantly a championship level team because of Brandon Ingram. And I was sitting here thinking about some of the other teams in the playoffs. I think the Clippers, if they had Lonzo Ball, granted they look good even without Kawhi, but if they had Lonzo Ball right now, even though they're missing Kawhi, I think Lonzo helps elevate that team, and they'd still be like one of the favorites. And I'm thinking about this, like some of the guys on the Pelicans that are like the fan base typically shits on would be so good on these other teams, and they would be making an impact on these teams winning championships right now. And so I kind of wanted to make a video to kind of discuss that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could talk about a lot of the teams. Like, I think B.I. or Alonzo in New York changes that series. I think it really changes that series with New York and the Hawks. Speaking of the Hawks, I think the Hawks are going to find themselves. Now, here's the thing with the Hawks. The Hawks have supreme firepower. And supreme firepower can get a lot done. But the problem is, I think if you get to a point where Trae Young don't have it, there's nobody else on that team that can go get you, can make you a play. Again, I think Lonzo would help there, but I think he's repetitive or redundant with Trae Young. And I don't think you would maximize him. But Brandon Ingram, his skill set works on a lot of different teams. The teams that are like Portland. If Portland had him instead of, say, Carmelo Anthony, it changes everything. I don't want to talk about Denver because Denver they injured. They had Jamal Murray was injured. I'm pretty sure if you place Lonzo there, it changes the outcome of that series too. Um, and I don't want to sit here and say, okay, let's just retroactively put players here. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is skill wise and what the teams lack, the Pelicans have these guys who just help make other teams better just by virtue of existing on a team. You see what I'm saying? And damn. Like I said, I'm watching gameplay here. But the point is, like, you sit there and you start thinking about it, it's like, damn, Lonzo and BI. Obviously, Zion would make a lot of these teams even better. But you think about it, it's like imagine Zion and Trey on the same team. God damn. God damn. Oh man. But yeah, imagine Zion and Trey on the same team. You know what I'm saying? Like all these guys would be in better situations winning if they were on different teams. And all these teams would be like championship level teams. So the thing is, it makes you ask the question, why in the hell are they not as efficient or not as winning when they got such a slew of talent? You know what I'm saying? Like they're ridiculously talented. They're talented to the point it's like it's disheartening. It's frightening how talented they are, yet they haven't done anything with the talent. And so it's just like, man, I'm telling you, these guys would be difference makers on other teams, like dramatically so. I would argue the Jazz with Brandon Ingram, they might have swept the Clippers. They might have swept through the entire playoffs until they got to the Bucks, because I got the Bucks now winning the entire thing because Brooklyn's out. And if Giannis wins that, he becomes one of those god tier players because he's got the capability to lead a team to a championship. I'm putting my money on Giannis and them for right now, but I am scared for them if they have to match up with Atlanta in that series. I'll do a breakdown video on that. If they end up with Atlanta, I'll talk about why. I'm not as worried about Philly. I think they're gonna get Philly, but it's crazy how talented these dudes are, and they can't get it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? It again. I've said this before all year. You need one of Bi or Zion to buy in on the defensive end. And I've been of the mindset, I don't think Zion will be a great defender. I just don't look at the stuff, his tools, and think he's going to be a good defender. In small ball lineups, I think he's an excellent defender against guys like Draymond. When other teams have to play small ball and they have to match up, I think he's an excellent defender because there's going to be somebody on the court that he can stay in front of, I believe. But unless you get one of them to buy in, I always thought it should be Bi. I think Bi has the most to gain by playing defense because of what he has naturally. And I think because his ease of getting shots, I think if he let Zion or Lonzo play make for him in the late game, and he just focused on playing defense, I think he would be able to be a better, a more. I think he would affect winning more. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't get the shots in LA, but he was committed on the defensive end. Played hard defense, effort. Ever since the offense came, the defense went away. And obviously, with more requirements on offense, you're going to have to make adjustments. And so for me, I would love to see a world or a scenario where Bi becomes a prominent defensive piece. Does that mean he needs to be all defense? No. But a very good defensive piece changes the New Orleans Pelicans like greatly. So, just looking at some of these teams, even let's talk about like Washington, because they didn't win their series. If Washington, they got Russ and Beal, right? So they don't need Lonzo. And I actually like them a lot. Let me say this about Washington. Some of the guys that they got this year, like I'm a fan of Rui, and I can't remember the guy's name that they drafted this year, but I'm high on him too. And I think he needed more minutes. And I know they were missing Thomas Bryant because he got injured for most of the season. But if it were up to me, if I was GM, I would ship out Bradley Beal for a young player that could play, and I would try to go get a god level ascending point guard. Like I might consider trying to offer up Bradley Beal for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and maybe trading off Westbrook to one of these other teams like Miami or something to get like another weapon that they could use legitimately or something like that. Um, but I like Washington. Washington in the next 2 to 3 years is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I like Cleveland's roster to some degree too. Goddamn, I'm getting off subject. Look, I like basketball. I especially like these young teams, and I don't know if I've ever said it on this channel, but I can't wait till KD, Steph, LeBron, and Kawhi are too old to play and retire. Some of these older guys, I can't wait for them to get out the league. CP3, all of them. Not that they're not great players, but I want the new guys to come in and show us what they got because they are so talented. They're so good. And I don't think, right now it's hard as fuck. Look what has had to happen, right? Kawhi got hurt. He can't play. KD just got eliminated because his teammates got hurt. James Harden is also in there because James Harden would be a champion if it weren't for the other guys too. Steph Curry just had a bad team because of injuries and shit. Who else? LeBron hurt. Those are the gods of the league, right? That's what I consider the four true superstars of the league. Everybody else is below that is like MVP or less. When you take those guys out, look what you got. Giannis, potentially Trae Young or Embiid. You got Booker, Paul George, all these other talented guys who are giving us great series, great value entertainment in the playoffs. We're missing that because the gatekeepers, those four true superstars are gatekeepers. And I've been saying, your title window is only as good as those four guys. Period. If they're in the league, they gatekeep titles. They are too fucking good. They're going to have to age out, and then the next group will ascend. And that'll probably be Zion, Luka, Giannis, Embiid, and maybe Jason Tatum will take that next step too. But those are the guys. Those are probably going to be the new gatekeepers of titles. But they can't get there till these other guys either get hurt like they did this year or are out of the league. But back to the bigger point here, all these teams could use one of the 2-3 guys on the Pelicans, and it changes an entire series just with those guys existing. These are, when people want to talk about impact players, these are impact players. And I know it was funny at the beginning of the year, I think they had Lonzo already hired as Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine was like 57, 56 or something, and Lonzo was like 51. I told people I don't agree with Zach being below Lonzo, but I think Lonzo being at 51 is pretty accurate. And he went out this year and proved they were right where they had him placed. Now, next year, Lonzo's probably going to be somewhere between 37 and 42 when those rankings come out. And I think his play is going to justify that. But again, these guys are getting older and their talent is starting to show. Impact players, man. And I know with teams like Utah, it's hard to get free agents, but you got to make a play. You're going to have to do something. You're going to have to ship some things because Rudy Gobert and Donovan ain't enough. They're missing an additional playmaker or scorer. Jordan Clarkson off the bench is not it. You need a guy who can make some passes. You don't need him to get a bunch of assists, but 4 or 5 assists a game. Go up there, get you 22, 24 points. Now when you got Donovan dropping 37, you got another guy giving you 25, and you can't key in on him, and you can't key in on like B.I., and now you got to really work to deal with these guys. And they don't have to work as hard because it's like, okay, I can take a little bit of break, and when the other guys got it going, I can say, I'll feed Donovan. I'll play defense. I'll clamp down hard on Paul George and take him out the game. And you could just carry the scoring load, and then when you get tired, we can swap out. Maybe you could clamp down on Reggie Jackson or one of these other guys, or play hard-nosed defense on Kawhi, get physical with him, and then we'll end up winning the game because I'll take over a close. Again, most of these teams that only have that one offensive guy, the burden is on them. What happened last night with Brooklyn? KD played all 53 minutes. He had 48 points, but he was tired. he had nobody else that came along to help. Okay? Giannis carried the burden of it, and he's younger, so his body is more apt to do so. But he also got breaks in the game too, which allowed him to keep his stamina up. Even without that, he carried enough that Drew and Chris finally came along. Okay? This kind of, remember, roster and team construction matters so much. So we're looking at teams like New York. Julius Randle, they just keyed in on and said, okay, you got nobody else. We ain't too much worried about RJ. Imagine if that team had a Lonzo or a Brandon Ingram, right? Not saying that they wouldn't key in if they had Lonzo, but I think Lonzo understands the game like, okay, look, Juju, let me play make to get RJ going first. If they have to focus on RJ because they have to adjust, if RJ gets it going early, he's going to carry for the rest of the game. Let me get him charged up first. I know you can go get yours. Be patient, big guy. We're going to get you easy shots. And so when the defense has to stop focusing or putting so much attention on Julius, then now they have to focus on RJ. Now you start to feed Julius, and Julius can take over the game. I think it would make a serious difference, especially if Lonzo too could go key in on Trae Young and D him up and force him to waste energy so he don't have it late in the game. Makes a huge difference in the way a series is played or won, right? You know, even if you said B.I. was there, B.I. could kind of point guard a little bit. You don't want him doing it the entire game, but you can say, okay, he could get the ball in his hands. They got to key in on him. Now Julius could go to town and win his matchup. When you're just one guy, it's hard as fuck to win because they just have to focus you down and wear you out. But if it's multiple guys, it's just a matter of who's got it going. And if you're aggressive enough and if you fight hard enough, at some point you're going to start to get those shots. I believe Drew was like 2 of 17, and then he made like 3 or 4 shots straight. His shot percentage was still terrible. But he came at the right time. Same thing with Chris Middleton. All these other teams, look at Miami. If Miami had had Lonzo Ball, I think he could have made easier shots for Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler, which helps out the entire team. Now because Jimmy is basically having to play point guard a lot of the times. Now you got Jimmy can conserve energy, get more efficient shots, and play harder defense. Result would probably still be the same. However, it's going to take more out of Giannis, Drew, and Chris to win that series. Even if you give them BI, I think BI still does it requires more for them to win the series instead of just going in and sweeping their ass off the floor. The Pelicans have high impact guys, and I don't. You know what? I can put the big three aside. We can talk about guys like Josh Hart. We can talk about guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I know a lot of people are kind of iffy on some of those guys, and I get it. While they may not impact the game in a way that the other three I mentioned will, I think they have a noticeable impact that would help a lot of these other teams. So I think Miami would be better if they had Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Just off the fact that he can play make if he really tries it. I wouldn't want him doing it the entire game, but he gives you another body. Now, I don't think the Jazz would need Nickeil because they kind of have Jordan Clarkson. However, if you switch them out, I think that's the same player except now plays better defense. And so that would probably be a better value in that position. Because Nickeil has shown he can go get your points. Best believe he can go get your points. But if you put him in a role that works for him, 6-man off the bench, hey, man, you're going to come in, get 20 to 30 minutes a night, man, just go crazy. And then we need you to guard whoever the best perimeter player is, whatever the best guard is for us. He could do that. And that's value. And even, let's talk about Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn would have liked to have had a Nickeil last night because Nickeil could go get his own shot, and he don't need KD to facilitate for him. You know, again, just because guys on your team aren't necessarily put in the best position to succeed, don't mean they can't play. You know, sometimes a guy goes from one team to another, and Okay, I'll give you a good example of this. So y'all remember the guy Sabonis from the Pacers? Well, he was on OKC. He wasn't this good on OKC. He goes to the Pacers. Victor Oladipo, same thing. He wasn't that good there. He also started out in Orlando for a couple years before they shipped him to OKC. Went to OKC, that didn't work. Bam. Vic goes to the Pacers. Works. Sometimes it's location. Sometimes it's role. And sometimes it's just having a guy believe in you too. Now, Vic has also been on the record of saying watching Russ work showed him where he had deficiencies. And that's another thing. Being paired with a great player and watching them work and getting their work ethic and learning from them go a long way to helping you improve. Imagine if you're Sabonis and you're in OKC and you're watching Russ work. Oladipo, you're watching him work. Now y'all both go to Indiana and you take what you learn from there, and now you're giving the ball, and you're giving the opportunity. You show everybody, hey, I can go get you 22, 10, and 6. Like, what? And it's not like these guys are bad players. Situation matters. And I think when you're in a good situation, it's very hard to, want to leave that. Jordan Clarkson, he was good on the Lakers. He goes to Cleveland, not so much. He goes to the Jazz. Now he's found a niche. He's found a place that he likes to play for. He's found a good role that he's good at. He's now more decorated, 6th man of the year. It works. So sometimes we gotta think about this. Just because a player's bad on one team or under one set of conditions doesn't mean he won't work somewhere else. Like, look at Darren Williams when he used to play for the Jazz. And he ended up playing for my Mavericks at one point, too. He was an all-star with the Jazz. Took him away from the Jazz, he was washed. He was like a role player. He wasn't even that good. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, there's teams out here that could use some of these players on these other teams, especially the ones where the fan base ain't appreciating what they have and when they're not being used right. And so that's something to be careful of and to look out for. For all people, I know I got a lot of people saying, hey, we need to get Zoe out of fucking New Orleans. And I agree with you. It's probably best for him. He'll probably end up like Chauncey Billups, go to a team, and he might become the best player on the team. It's potential. It's possible. Could he go to Chicago and end up putting up 18, 10, and 7 and being up there on defense? And now it's well, shit. Zach may put up 28 points, but he ain't putting up the other stats. And Lonzo is becomes the leader of the team. They way better. It's possible. Could that happen in New York? It is completely possible. It depends on the coach, the culture, and the setting, and how much you sow into the player as a coaching staff and as an organization. Okay? That's kind of why I wanted Earl Watson for the Pelicans. Listening to him talk, it's okay, not only can he connect with the players, but he's up front, he's going to keep it real with you. Guys like B.I. and Lonzo in particular, they like dudes that are up front. That's going to shoot you straight. And he's going to tell you straight up what it is. And he even told them, one of the Morris twins, I think, was on his team when he was at Phoenix. He's like, all right, look, you're going to be the first option because we know you don't want to be here. We're going to try to get you 20-plus points a game, get you traded at the trade deadline. Everybody else, Book is going to get these number shots. The rest of y'all, this is what you're going to do. And he's like, the team respected him because of it. And what happened? The same thing he said happened. Morris was showing out. Other teams wanted him. When you're real as a coach and can connect with the players, it matters. So again, to my bigger point, the whole point of starting this, there's a lot of teams out here that can use some of these guys on the Pelicans, right? There's some guys who need a backup center on their team or a shot blocker, right? And Jackson Hayes could come in and be that shot blocker for a team. But, again, your situation matters. It really does. And a lot of these teams, this offseason, the playoffs expose a lot of your weaknesses. That's why Miami was sent. That's why there was a article that said Miami Heat are interested in Brandon Ingram. because they know what they need. Mutual interest between Lonzo and New York because they know what they need. Zach LaVine is buddy with Zoe because they know what they need. Okay? And if I hear, it wouldn't surprise me if Utah Jazz is interested in trying to, acquire Brandon Ingram. If I hear it, trust me, with the smoke, there's fire. But think back to this video. Think back to it. And be open-minded to think about this. Even Luka Doncic and my Mavs, and I know they're going through a whole little fiasco over there. Luka would have loved to have had a BI. He would have loved to have had a BI. Because now it's like, okay, matter of fact, with BI, Dallas might still be in the playoffs. These guys, just because they're not winning on the Pelicans, don't get it twisted. That don't mean they couldn't go somewhere else and dominate or be good. You got to look at the situation in its entirety. And some of these guys on other teams, like Christian Wood left the Pelicans, and what he doing? I'm just saying. Julius Randle left the Pelicans, and what is he doing? He also left LA. What is he doing? Jordan Clarkson left LA and Cleveland. What is he doing? I'm just saying. This ain't a game, people. And I know a lot of you guys watch more than probably the Pelicans, right? Look at some of your favorite teams out there, man. Think about this. Be truthful. Understand what your player can do and can't do. And then figure out, like, okay, what are they running on this team? How can I see Lonzo here that would help this team? Okay? How do the other guys fit around Lonzo's skill set? How does Lonzo fit around their skill set? How can Lonzo make an impact on this game or on this team positively in a way that affects winning? And trust, there's some guys in the league that don't affect winning, right? But to tell me, like, when people tell me a guy like B.I. don't affect winning like that, it's like on this team, absolutely, he really doesn't affect winning like that because this team is garbage. But had he been on the Jazz, Dallas, Miami, and I know I'm one of the main guys that sit there and say I would love to trade B.I. Because, I think it'd be beneficial to B.I. And two, I think it would be beneficial to the Pelicans. It's not because I think he's a bad player, but I think it would be a better fit for him somewhere else, specifically if he was in Indiana. I would love to see him in Indiana. It's why if I'm Indiana, look, I'm calling. Look, man. Matter of fact, if I can't, bruh, can we get B.I. and Lonzo? We'll give you 3-4 first-round picks. We'll give you Brogdon, and we'll get Karis LeVert. I think if you do that, Zion will be better for it, and the Pelicans organization will be better for it, and I think Indiana becomes a much better team with Sabonis and Miles Turner and B.I. and Lonzo. But again, you got to be honest. You gotta look at the environment for what it is, and you gotta look and see what's best for your team. Can guys play together? Do they fit? What kind of game, what kind of style of ball are you playing? Again, we don't even know what the fuck the Pelicans are supposed to be. With Gentry, we knew what the Pelicans were. This year, what is that? We still don't know what they're supposed to be. Understand, we know they're supposed to be a good defensive team, but they never bought in. So then what the fuck are they? What do the Pelicans themselves see themselves as? What do Zion and B.I. see themselves as? And that's another thing. To the point of D'Antoni in Phoenix, and I've given this recap before, he saw them playing fast, and so they ran fast. He didn't pick the system. He let the system come directly, organically from the players themselves. Whatever coach you're going to get, if you're going to try to keep Lonzo, B.I., or Zion, that system got to fit the three of them, because that's truly the nucleus. No matter, even if you say Zion and B.I. are the two, they're the core. All things considered, it don't matter what you call that core if you don't include Lonzo, because Lonzo is the glue guy that holds them together. Anyway, shouts out to Milwaukee for a hard-fought series. That was an all-time great game. That damn shot by Kevin fucking Durant, man. Like, look, I know people gonna talk shit like, well, LeBron was not going to play 53 minutes. He was not finna play 53 minutes. KD stayed out there the entire fucking game and gave you 48, efficient 48, and he still barely lost that game to a team who has three really good players. One in particular is on KD's realm, not necessarily on his level, because I think KD is still. I think there's a gap there between him and Giannis. Although that will change if he wins a title this year. But that was a hard fought series, and I got to give KD credit. He did that twice. He played the entire minutes of a game twice. The first game he got the win, but he had someone there with him that was going along for the ride. This game it was just him, and the team just said, "Fuck it, KD, man. We don't have nothing, man. You got to try to get us there." And I don't think that was fair to him. But anyway, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.